If you've been in trucking the past few years, you already know how fast things can change. My name is Andrew Higgins, million-mile-plus driver, former owner-operator, and I spent years in this business learning things the hard way. So what changed? Because I left the business. 2023, November of 23, I left the business. So why, you might ask, like, Drew, why did you leave the trucking business? You're doing so well. You're making videos. You have the video on your page, $25,000 a month, and you did it. So hypothetically, if you did that, you could just work for 4 months and make $100K clean after diesel. That's good money, right? For a blue-collar man that's got a truck and out here with a dream and making it happen. And it was, and it is. But you got to know my whole story to understand why I left. It was a calculated leave. Because I transitioned out of this business to go into day trading in the stock market. I was already teaching myself the skill. I bought into the classes, good mentors. I'm sitting there in the Zoom calls with these guys. And when I came back to Middle Georgia in 2021, it was because my mom got bad sick. Okay, she got bad sick into a coma, and she stayed in that coma for 90 days. And in the course of me being back, I knew that I had to move back to Georgia. But when I got that call to come out here for my mom, I dropped everything and I came out here. When I came out here, I had close to $85,000 in the bank that took 10 years to make. Now, mind you, I'm running Higgins Diesel Trucking. We got overhead of about $1,200 a month for liability and commercial insurance. A couple other overheads were, I believe at that time, my overhead was about $3,000 a month or so. So what changed is that. So I come back, and how I'm spending some of my spare time is I'm volunteering in the nonprofit arena. So it didn't take long. I already had these cameras and these lenses and stuff, and I've always been a creative person, whether it be music, painting, design, visionary type stuff or whatever. And I've always cared. I've always had enough heart on me to understand people and not just point my fingers from a glass tower and be like, just judging without understanding the real conditions that people are up against. So I fit right into the nonprofit organization. It didn't take long before I was shoulder to shoulder with the mayor here in Middle Georgia. Cause we have 2 mayors. Well, we have 3 mayors. Well, actually, we have a couple more mayors because Middle Georgia is broken into like 5 sections. And I just started really, like when the birds fly south and north, I started getting that same thing inside of me where I'm like, man, I got to move back because Atlanta and Middle Georgia is becoming one thing fast. And I was gone and I got to go to San Francisco, LA, Dallas, Houston, Baltimore, Miami, Chicago, Indianapolis. I got to go to all these places like, how we do out here. So you get to observe, and like the final 2 or 3 years I was trucking since things slowed down, and that's what we're about to talk to too. I'm going to try to keep this video less than 15 minutes, but this is the Andrew's Method comeback video right here to get you guys into the journey of what we got going on, because the journey has never stopped, okay? But I stopped making the trucking content because the day I got wrecked into, I knew I was getting out of business to be a full-time day trader. And I was like, you know what? I deleted my Instagram account that had about 10,000 followers on it. A ton of people watching my stories where I was putting like positivity and different things, showing where I was and stuff. I deleted that because I'm like, you know what? I'm not fixing to be a trucker no more. I don't have trucking content. And I grew so much as a man that I didn't want that stuff on the internet no more, like different versions of me that were outdated. Because I had to go through a lot and learn a lot. Because eventually that big old number that I had, $80,000, got all the way down to a point where there was almost nothing, like less than $100 at one time. So that forced me to really regrow myself as a man, regrow my body, regrow my mind, regrow my stability in a crazy environment here in Middle Georgia where people have not really experienced peace and positivity and love and stability in a while. So we got that going on, and I know that I want to come back and I want to be a part of the nonprofit organization. I want to be a part of, take what I learned out in the world and bring it back here to help improve social stability and programs, collect money to build this bridge and help this 100-mile stretch of land expand. Because we know a lot of the major metropolises, Dallas, Fort Worth, 100 miles, LA, 100 miles across, Miami, 100 miles across, New York to Philly, 100 miles across. Chicago's 100 miles across. And from exit 146, Warner Robins to 246 Midtown Atlanta's 100 miles. We're one huge conglomerate, and we both need each other. Atlanta's the face, we're the heart, and we're the soul. So we want to bring it together. But what I want to mention was part of the reason why we got out of the business here is because after COVID, we had a slight boom, maybe 6 months or so where rates did really well and stuff. Then the bottom just fell out. I mean, places like Chicago, 600 loads on the load board, now down to like 80. But you still have the same amount of owner operators, hungry hippo trying to get the loads out. The week before I shut down my trucking business, I was in Houston, Texas for literally 5 days. Every morning I wake up and 5, 6 a.m., get myself ready so I could be there for 7 a.m. when the loads start coming in on the load board, and it was just tumbleweed. I mean, this is Houston, Texas with a flatbed. And I sat there for 5 days. There was not anything worth hauling. I sit there on the load board, look. Now, mind you, even if a load doesn't come till 1 or 2 p.m., I've already been up 6 or 7 hours. Now I accept the load, and I'm responsible for driving that load 500 miles to get there the next day. Like the conditions were terrible. And at the same time, I'm already trading options. I'm getting like $1,000 days. The best day I had up to that prior was a $4,000 day. Like good enough where I just buy myself a plane ticket and go to San Francisco, and I just go hang out for like 3 days and just walk around by myself and just meet people and meet connections and stuff. Stuff I couldn't really do when I was full-time trucking because things were kind of slow or whatever. So this is the calculated reason why we was getting out of the business. Is like, boom, we're already getting good traction with options and futures trading, so I can make a similar type of income and eventually way more, because once you master the skill, it's just numbers. The money part of it is crazy how it doesn't even equate to the real work that you do. So we had that already going, paying the education, learning the classes, already doing good. And load volumes went down like crazy, so which means the rates went down. So we were seeing like $2. Like folks was wanting me to go to like Wyoming for $1.80 a mile, 44,000 pounds and stuff like that. So that's why I sat in Houston all that time. Then at the same time, we were dealing with inflation on the cost of the parts of the truck. So like a normal brake drum or something that I had that was like $80, now it's like $150 or $180. So now you really had to cherry pick your loads and move slow. And I already had a paid off truck, a paid off trailer, paid off land, paid off house and all that. My trailer house out there on 3 acres of land in Louisiana had 2 trailer houses on the land. All that's paid for, and I was still feeling the pressure. And things were getting more expensive. And it had been like that for almost 3 years. So I know things come in waves and cycles. But I had too much other good stuff going on that I wasn't fixing to wait for the next wave or cycle, because I had a good foresight into the economic conditions and what was going on post-COVID and stuff. Now, mind you, there's different ways to cut the cake, where you could have, like me, I didn't want to have direct customers because I like to move around too much. I like to move off the load board. But like I know a guy here in Middle Georgia right now who's got a few direct customers. He works with a couple of the farms out here, and he does fine. And he's making more on his hot shot trailer than a lot of guys are in his semi truck right now. He just has to go to Atlanta and back, and that's it. And he's done. My mentor in trading is making $5,000 a day trading futures. So that's what changed. That's why we left. It was all those conditions at once. And my mom brought me back, and from being back, I knew I had to come back. I had unfinished business to do out here. I wanted to build my own nonprofit organization to help improve social stability in the region. Not just give away book bags and turkeys and say, here you go, have a nice life, we'll see you next time. No, we want to get to the root issues of what's going on. Socially, economically, the hierarchy of needs, so we can just have fun again. So we can just live our normal life and create, grow, dream, do those type of cool things that I know that I got to experience in my nuclear family growing up out here as a kid. Boom, once we get back in that 30, 40, 50K range, the type of deals we can make in trading that can exponentially turn into 250,000, 300,000, XYZ. So when I get the nonprofit going, I can fund myself originally and not have to be in such a state of need to get other people to fund it. But I went so far down that rabbit hole in the trading because of family situations, decline, my mom dying, different things. It was like 5 things happened back to back where my little plan got shook up big time. So when I mentioned getting wrecked into, now some of our next videos are not going to be like so like, but I got to catch everybody up, okay? You know, the journey's still going. I'll leave this trailer here at my body shop in Monroe, and I'll let them fix it, and we'll just sell it and split the money. So that was the big turning point. And just the day before, I had already wrote down my schedule of what I wanted my day to be like as a day trader. So I go back to Georgia because that guy ended up not wanting to buy the house. I go to Georgia and I'm kicking around out here and I'm staying with my mom. And my mom was like, you know what? Come down here to Perry, Georgia and live in my house and get your new trading business off the ground so you don't have to pay rent. So perfect. So at this time, I'm not trading full cash yet. I'm still doing simulation trading. I set up my big rig. It's like 7 different screens. You know, I'm educated. I've been educating for some months and some time already in the options market. But I made the mistake by going to the futures market, and I traded the most difficult thing it was to trade, which was the NASDAQ. And NASDAQ moves so fast, and you can be so right and so wrong at the same time. But at the end of the day, you're right. But you got chopped up so many times that, you know, you took 6 losses, but you were actually right. It was a very stressful instrument to trade. There's way better things to trade. Stock options are way better to trade, in my opinion. Foreign exchange. You can have a robot trade foreign exchange for you. All sorts of things. I do have an interested party to come out there to Louisiana and buy the land. So I go sell the land, and literally I drive back to Georgia. I put that land on a payment plan, get $15,000 down, which helped keep things going. Then $800 a month to keep going for 4 years, which that comes to a finish this November. That literally within like 20 days of being back, my mom, she dies. Now mind you, she got to live another 3 years after the intense coma battle. The coma battle. But she dies, bro. And it was just like some weird thing where her insurance company proved that like she missed the payments for like a week and a half or 2 weeks, and the insurance just decided not to pay. So we lost the house. We lost her, and no insurance payment paid out at all. And so now I just literally sold my place. Mom died, nowhere to live. So I'm like, sheesh, bruh. So I go get a $400 office in Macon, Georgia, and I'm living out the office, trading. So now I went from having a smooth approach into trading to, man, you better hurry up and start getting this thing going within a couple months, because responsibilities is catching up. And that's not the what conditions you want to be in as a full-time trader, is to trying to force money out of the market. And then I was used to making $1,000 a day with the trucking, you know. So I was looking to make those numbers right away and right fast. So I didn't even establish my nonprofit. I didn't even do none of that. All I was focused on was trading. And it was just taking such a toll on me. You know, you study all night because the futures market is 23 hours a day. So I'm watching Tokyo, I'm watching London, I'm getting in for New York session. I'm doing my best to pick the right rhyme and reason of what I want to trade and how I want to trade it. And it's just like every day I'm getting lower and lower and lower and lower and lower with my mind, my finance, my spirit, my confidence, my money. And yeah. And I still had my same dog, Parrish. And at the time she was about 11 years old, and she ended up having babies. So she was already living in my office, really not allowed to be there. And I'm living in the office, and I'm not even supposed to be there 24 hours a day. Now I got puppies in my office, you know what I mean? So I'm like, shoot, now I got to really move. So I found a house in Pleasant Hill in Macon. So I lived at the top of the hill for about 6 months to raise the puppies. And it was just terrible. Like at that point, I went all the way down. And now I'm regretting everything, you know, and stuff like that, you know, like, dang, my land, my house, my wife, my business. It was like, but it was all necessary for me to be the man, you know, where I am today. Because at one time, you'll see back in these other videos that I was just happy-go-lucky guy. I was rich and positive, which almost made me rich and ignorant. Because I was so happy, positive, and spiritual that there were certain things I skipped. that I was forced to go back and revisit, because no way that the Most High God was going to let me cross over into 200,000, 300,000, half a million, million, multiple millions, and I didn't have my nervous system regulated. I didn't have my body together. I didn't have a calm alpha state for real. So at the peak of that, I got an opportunity to oversee one of the family homes rent free, and that was the saving grace to allow me to rebuild again for the past about year and a half. So I continued to do the Uber, had over 2,000 people come in my car, had plenty of conversations. Like, I know the Middle Georgia land like the back of my hand, every neighborhood, every apartment, every section. So officially April 1st, we started our nonprofit organization, Middle Georgia Common Unity, with the main goal to improve social stability in the region. We have plenty of initiatives, plenty of things to do around here, and we're not fully up and running yet until the federal paperwork comes back. So I'm actually excited about getting back into a truck. So mid-May, like I said, I found a place here, a bulk transporter here in Perry, Georgia, paying about $1,400 a week, and you could be an owner-operator for them. So we're gonna truck around with them for about a month or 2 or 3. And I'm gonna see if I don't pick up like a little day cab with a Detroit 60 or N14 in it, and I'll park it there at their terminal and just maybe drive it 3 or 4 days out of the week. We'll see. But I'm excited now, because at first my ego and my pride wouldn't let me drive a truck again, because I did not want to get back into that. I wanted to be fully immersed in the trading, which I did for 1 year. I lasted 1 year in the futures market. And I learned a lot. I learned a ton. Learned enough to know that I still want to go back into it differently.